glad. With flowers and my love hope never to come back. I see people turn their heads and quickly look away. Like a newborn baby, it just happens every day. I look inside myself and see my heart is black. I see my red door, I must have it painted black. Maybe then I'll fade away and not have to face the facts. It's not easy facing up when your whole world is black. No more will my green seagull turn a deeper blue. I could not foresee this thing happening to you. If I look hard enough into the setting sun, my love will laugh with me before the morning comes. I see a red door and I want it painted black. No colors anymore, I want them to turn black. I see the girls walk by dressed in their summer clothes. I have to turn my head until my darkness goes. I wanna see a fade, faded black, black as night, black as gold. I wanna see the sun, blotted out from the sky. I wanna see a faded, 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 faded black. Yeah.
Endless war, police abuse, drug wars, destruction of entire ecosystems. The world is crazy, and we're here to put things right. This is Thinking Liberty. It is.
We have a lot of power, apparently.
He's really energetic today, as usual. So
When our powers combine, we have the power to fix the ecosystem.
who does that make? Captain. Oh, she's Hart here. On the side over here, we have a person who's just adding a comment and then running away to make some teriyaki
Captain
chicken.
Planet.
So-
That sounds kind of authoritarian. Can I be Comrade Planet?
No, you can't.
That
be-
sounds kind of communist.
How about fellow worker
There you go. So
Planet?
exactly what I was saying.
Dare
So
Commissar
we're-
Planet.
We're
Anyway,
getting
sorry.
away from all that, so continue on. What are we saying today? We're introducing everybody. We got Ryan the bear over there.
Grr.
We have the one who's actually really loud and really energetic over there. That's actually Darian. Say Darian.
Darian.
There you go. That's
And
him.
this time we're actually introducing me, unlike last week when I forgot.
Oh,
His
yeah.
website is DarianWarden.com.
Yes, it's
Which you probably don't know how to spell.
DarianWarden.com. It's a nice blog.
And he wrote a book.
Did he?
Yeah, he
What's
wrote
the
a
name
book.
of the book?
Bring a Gun to School Day.
What's it about?
Bring a Gun to School Day.
There you go. All right. So we should probably say what day it is today.
Yes,
'cause-
it is June 8th, 2010.
Yes, it's the day after the introduction of iPhone 4. So people.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, it's not.
You Mac nerd.
The iPhone 4, not
Yeah.
impressive.
So-
Oh, and this is Bile.
That's Bile there.
All right, that's Bile.
the
Who
reason
doesn't know
I'm
what
always
impressive
quiet is the reason I'm always quiet is because I'm always trying to fix the mics as people are talking.
The
when
mics
show
are
starts.
never right.
Yeah,
he has to
he,
fix them every second.
Bile knows how to
He's like-
work the studio thing.
He's like that guy. I don't know if you've seen the film Metropolis, but there's like there's the scene where there's one guy who has to like run back and forth and
Yes.
switch all these valves and all these gauges, and like if you can't do it fast enough, the whole thing blows up. Like that's what Bile is doing right now.
It's very exciting. There's like pumps and pulleys and wheels and fluid squirting out over his face, and occasionally he screams when he gets hit with hot steam.
It's
a
playing
good
that
setup.
pressure music. You know, like when Sonic is starting to drown, he's in the water. He goes,
That music.
yes, it's going every second with him.
There you go. Awesome. And we've also got Tennyson. I don't know. Did you introduce yourself?
No, I never introduced myself because I find it funny saying my own name.
And you
Well,
find that
how
you
about-
need no introduction?
How about we
Eh.
just call you the Singularity?
Like,
Will you
you
introduce
could-
yourself as the Singularity?
Yeah, ich bin ein Singularitarian there, and I'm not a jelly donut.
Nice.
So-
All right. So what are we doing today?
What are we doing today? That's a good question. What are we ever doing? So,
Chillin'.
as always, we're doing an interactive broadcast. There are several ways to interact with us, which are on the side of the screen at thinkingliberty.net. There's a call-in line, a Skype, there's a chat room, and there's email and Twitter for those of you who like to go
Carrier
old
pigeon
school.
service. You know.
We don't get pigeon.
We don't
Not
get
yet.
pigeon.
No, we're not
Not
part of
yet.
that network.
Oh, we're working on that.
I could
Soon.
probably have that arranged. Let's see. My father has pigeons. It might be carrier pigeons.
Awesome. Well, I promise you, I will eat every pigeon you send me.
Bile was raised in the wild, in case you, in case you wanted to
It
know.
wasn't the wild. It was just South Jersey, which is almost the wild.
It's
but
just
not
almost the wild. So it's wild -1. There you go.
With carrier pigeons.
And like Rabbot. And
Did you say rabbit?
Rabbot. He's from South Jersey.
He is? Does he say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Tonight, we are going to have Donald Mineshausen. He is a longtime libertarian.
Is that how you pronounce the name?
That's what I got from when I was talking to him.
Okay. 'cause
So
I've been
maybe
saying it in my head as Mineshausen. but
no, it's not Schausen.
Not
It's
Schausen.
Mineshausen.
Mineshausen. Interesting.
So he's a longtime libertarian. So he's going to talk about the movement and some strategy. He's going to be on about 20 minutes into our program. Next week, we're going to have Stacy Litz, who is with the Drexel University Student Liberty Front and the Ladies of Liberty Alliance. Upcoming show, the June 22nd week, will actually be on June 21st. The reason, Bile's going to be up at Pork Fest on the 22nd. That's
Yeah,
the Porcupine Freedom
I'm
Festival.
probably going to be up there
You'll
around that
probably be
time
up there
too.
too.
So I don't know if anybody else out there wants to join me that same day. That'd be good because we could have more people there at Porkfest early. Unlike just hanging around with nobody there for a little. There's a fun tent though. So Jason Osborne will be there.
The fun tent is back.
The fun tent is back, so I hear. But Jason Osborne has some place. He's going to be there from Sunday to Sunday, so people will go up, be glad to meet him because he's a cool guy. And I don't know, when are you coming up? You're going to be the 24th
I'll
or
be
so?
there on Thursday night.
When is that?
Whatever night Thursday.
Whatever
is.
night
The
Thursday
24th.
night
The
is.
24th.
24th.
All right.
So make sure, remember that week, June 21st, we'll have an announcement on our blog and our Twitter. But make sure you tune in on the 21st. We'll probably rerun it on the 22nd or something. But we will be at the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and we will be taking some interviews there, possibly with a video camera. So
Ooh, video.
we have advanced
outta here.
into the
Video.
world of talking pictures.
That is amazing.
So you're having your talkie next time.
I used to have to play the piano when we showed our pictures, but now I'll actually be able to hear what the people are saying.
Yes.
No, you'll just see
We
them.
won't hold up black cards that have like
It was kind of interesting. So you'd be like interviewing Stacy, and you hear like, and then the black card would come up, and she would say, "I'm from Drexel." Dun, dun, dun.
Drexel. I've been to Drexel. It's pretty nice. I enjoyed the campus there.
I went to Drexel once, and it was during the Relay of Champions, which is a big track thing that occurs down there every once in a while.
You mean Penn Relays?
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting that
It's
confused.
like-
You got it.
It's like the biggest the biggest relay race. If you're into track and field, you go to Penn Relays. So If
There
you
you
get
go.
on the buses there, you'll see like every Jamaican anywhere in the tri-state area heading down there. So I've been there. It was quite a good time. So.
And if you're a sucker like me and you just happen to be going into Philly to see a show during Penn Relays, you get out of your show at like 2 a.m. and you're like, how come there's people jogging everywhere? This is
There's people
amazing.
jogging everywhere.
It's 2 a.m. Why is everybody running?
That's how
Must
things
be a
are.
zombie outbreak.
So,
So
I was thinking about zombies today too. Coincidentally, I didn't realize. And just under my breath, my coworker heard me say "zombies everywhere, zombies everywhere," and I don't think he understood what I was thinking because I sure as hell don't. But just throwing that in there. Okay, continue.
All right. So, what are you thinking about PorkFest? What is that for people who might be unfamiliar, and why should they go?
It's a festival for porking. I mean, it's a festival, the Porcupine Freedom
Oh, he's
Festival.
sex with this guy.
I
What?
know. It's disturbing.
It's I don't know what you.
He's
people
taking
are
his
talking
pants
about.
off.
It's
right
always
now.
sex or zombies, I guess,
and or zombies
and
No,
or Apple products.
with
Singularities.
Singularities. Yeah. Speaking of singularity, this episode is brought to you by the Singularity, backwards causality for today. All right.
So the Porcupine Freedom Festival is a camp
Redirect.
in New Hampshire. It's going to be the weekend of June 24th through 27th, whatever.
Yeah,
something.
the official dates are going to be that
It's a-
weekend.
Yeah,
That
it's officially
weekend.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And you can still sign up. There's a lot of people who are going to be there, myself included, the rest of Thinking Liberty included.
And you don't have
No,
to
we're
sign
dying
up.
to see you. We know.
You don't have to sign up. You can show up anytime you want.
Yeah.
And what is it? A couple dollars a day, or
Yeah.
$30 for the entire weekend. Or...
I mean, if you don't actually
It's
want to
cheap.
stay in there, there's actually a motel down the street from there. There's a motel on the campground, Rogers Motel, but they're already booked up. But there's one down the street that I hear isn't booked up, and might be even nicer than Rogers. So
Or you could stay in a tent.
you could stay in a tent. I'm actually planning on staying in a tent today. This time.
Wow.
I stayed in
Interesting.
I stayed in a tent the first year, and then the second year I kind of just stayed in the motel and lost my voice.
If you go to PorkFest, may I suggest the one pot cook off, which is like the most astounding thing ever.
What is that anyway? I
Well-
saw that on my ticket thing, and I'm like, what is this?
It's outstanding.
Am
so
I paying to get in there to cook, or am I paying?
no,
to
you're
eat?
you're paying to participate. So you're paying to eat.
Oh, it's paying to eat, participate,
The-
not paying to participate, cook.
You got it.
Okay.
So the way the competition works is different campgrounds cook up a dish for the one pot cook off, and you go around and you get a sample size portion from each campground, and it's astounding because basically you show up at the registration tent and they give you a treasure map of food locations,
Okay.
and then you have to go around to all the food locations and collect the food, right? And you get much more than you think you could ever possibly eat. So it's like, here, have, a half a bowl of chili. And you're like, well, it's only half a bowl. Then the next site's like, here, have half a bowl of stew. And you're just like, okay, here, have some cornbread with this. And it's amazing. So if you like food and you like wandering around doing like a food-based scavenger hunt, the one pot cook-off is awesome.
and
like-
Ryan likes his food.
Yeah.
I do love me
If you
some
like
food.
wandering around looking for food, the one pot cook off is your thing.
Exactly. It's the best part of being a gatherer in the hunter-gatherer sense, in that your food is prepared, cooked, and all you've got to do is find it.
Yeah, it's not like you have to chase down a rabbit and throw a big stick at it so it knocks out and
True.
then like rip the rabbit apart and cook it and everything. No. You just walk over and somebody hands you a bowl of stew. That's how you gather.
It's awesome. I will tell you a sad story though. I got my bowl and then I went to go get my food and I forgot to pick up my spoon. So I had to go all the way back to get the spoon and then go back to get the food.
Whenever
See,
I
that's
just
an
hear a story about a
unprepared
spoon,
hunter-gatherer
I think
right
about
there.
the tick. And Ryan knows what I'm talking about here. For some reason, there's been a whole the tick meme being spread through Facebook with a bunch of our friends. Like they're putting up videos of the tick and everything. So
As
spoon.
long as it's not the live action.
no, not the
then we're
live
good.
action one. No. It's the cartoon one. So
All right, so we're gonna have an event.
Darian has never seen
much
the tick.
smaller event, much closer to us. The June 12th NJ Alliance of the Libertarian Left meeting
which still involves food.
still involves food.
Yes.
There won't be as much food, but there will be food, and you should come if you're in the area. That's nj.libertarianleft.org. send us an email for directions or everything. It's going to be in Veterans Memorial Park in Passaic, New Jersey. That's North Jersey. Convenient bus lines and train lines.
What bus line?
190.
The 190. Okay.
Yes.
I'm just
It's
saying
a
that.
nice
Not that I'm
park.
going to be there. I'm just, I might be there.
Might be there.
Might
He
be
might
there.
not be there.
I will
might
not be there.
He's not going to be there.
I will be
so-
watching sweaty, shirtless boys pummel each other
Yes.
because I'm a Roman. No, actually, I'm going to a
See?
youth boxing tournament.
That sounds totally reasonable when you say youth boxing, and you just add that to it. Why don't you introduce it as youth boxing next time?
No, then people won't think I'm nearly as disturbed as I am.
Because people might just run away from you after that first saying, or they might hit you or something.
People run away from me all the time. It wouldn't be any different.
Maybe because you go up to people on the street, you're like, I'm an anarchist. What would you like to ask me?
That's true. That's
Are we
going
going to do that question?
Oh, I've got a game.
He's
that we're
got a
gonna
new
play.
game. Why
He's
don't
got
you
that
announce
game.
the game?
What's the
Oh,
game?
okay. So
Announce
here's
the game. It will be
here-
played later, but
It'll be played later, but you can tremble in anticipation.
you can
So-
look through every page on Wikipedia in preparation too.
So here's how the game works. I have picked what I would consider, and I'm not necessarily a smart man, so you may disagree with me, what I would consider to be a prominent person that you should know about if you're basically involved in the liberty movement. And I've got a list of facts about this person. I've actually got specifically 10 of them today, from really, really vague facts to much more specific facts.
I know who it is.
Each fact, I'll start with the really vague facts, right?
Morse-
And I'll
Morse
say
edit
it,
too.
and I'll announce what the fact is.
What's the fact?
And then we'll. I can't tell you yet. We're not playing the game.
What time are we playing the game?
We're gonna play it a little after 9.
All right. So then
All
we'll
right.
go around the room, and possibly if we have the guest and they want to play, we'll play with them too. Each person will guess who it is. All right. The first person to get it right wins. If nobody gets it on the first fact, we move to the next fact. To the next fact. If nobody gets it with the most specific fact, I don't know what to tell you. It means everybody involved in the show is stupid. But I think we'll be able to pick it up.
Okay. So it's gonna be like the game from Inglorious Bastards. The one where they have a card on their head, not where they carve a swastika into the Nazi's head, like I was thinking when.
Yeah, that
comparison
would
was
not
made.
be a fun game.
It would be hard to play over the radio too.
Well, no, we just have to have somebody describe it. Darian is taking out a giant Bowie knife.
Those are not sound effects, by the way. That is actually our producer making those noises.
Producer
Yeah, that's what I'm going to call him now.
bumped up.
Yeah. See, you've been
Insane.
you've been bumped from just jerk with the machines
Grunt.
to producer.
I prefer to call him owner of the means of production.
Yeah,
That's
there
what
you
I
go.
like to call him.
He's the man.
Capitalist pig dog.
Yes, he's the man in
All
every
right.
way.
All right, pig dogs, listen up. We have a show promotion contest. If you've been listening, you know what it is, but it has been extended. It is now until June 29th. You have until June 29th to email us pictures or video of you promoting Thinking Liberty in some fashion. We will pick the winner and we will send you things. These things will include a signed copy of Bring a Gun to School Day,
I can win.
which you can look up at bringaguntoschoolday.com. It's a good book.
Bringaguntoschoolday.com.
Yes. There's a website for that. And so these entries, they will be judged on the exposure, how many people will see what you're doing, how many people will be exposed to thinkingliberty.net. They will be judged on creativity, like how crazy is this idea that you had to do this? And they will also be judged on chutzpah. How bad of an idea was it
Chutzpah.
that you did it anyway?
I like that chacham right there. You threw that in there. That was
That's
good.
nice. Roll your R's in the front.
What?
Never mind.
You're learning from your wife. I see. She's not your wife.
I
I'm
just
sorry.
like to
Keep
point
saying
out that we needed to extend the deadline because of the overwhelming amount of entries we've had. So it's taking us so long to judge the massive amounts of email we've got that we had to extend it.
That's not true. There haven't been very many at all, in fact,
All right,
which gives you a better chance to win.
So get in on the ground floor right now.
You
All
should
right, yeah.
you should totally change it to send us a picture, win stuff.
I don't even know the details of the contest. People ask me about this on the
I
street.
just told you what the details were.
I know.
We're
I've
not-
heard it.
People ask you on the street.
No, I've heard it a couple of times now, and I'm probably going to forget when I leave here again.
All right. So we'll just get a magic marker and we'll write it down on your shirt, and then you can take a picture of your shirt and win.
If you
Easily.
participate and you win, you can win a Thinking Liberty shirt, which I'm actually sporting right now because I made.
Yes, he
It's
is.
a very
stencils.
sporty shirt.
He's wearing that. Let me-
I'm wearing one. You can describe it.
All right,
What's it look like?
actually has a picture or a cutout silhouette at the top of the Statue of Liberty with its arm up, and instead of holding the torch, it's holding bolt cutters.
All right,
So there
and
you
what's the back look like?
go. On the back? It says thinkingliberty.net, and there's a broken chain. Looks like it's been cut. So there you go. It's kind of like the Future Freedom Foundation logo, except it's
Worse?
ours. Yeah, well, no, it's ours. I was going to say, not.
Oh,
worse.
okay, all right.
But no, I see how you identify ours and worse. So
All right. So we're gonna get into the interview with Donald pretty soon here, but I want to throw some news out here. A U.S. military analyst named Bradley Manning was recently arrested. He is believed to be the person who leaked the collateral murder video that was on WikiLeaks of a helicopter crew giggling as they gunned down civilians, including a man trying to help wounded people that they had gunned down before and the children in the van. And he was basically ratted out by a journalist named Adrian Lamo. I don't know. Am I pronouncing his name
Sure it
right?
wasn't Lamo?
Lamo.
His name was
Lamo.
Lamo.
sounds-
He's less of a
Lamo.
less
That's
of a journalist and more of a
Lamo?
Lamo, but he was a young hacker who got caught and got.
He's a snitch.
Yeah, but
Well,
he's
he's
got
got
posing
trouble.
as a journalist now. So
He's got severe issues too.
Yeah,
like Lamo's he's got like Asperger's, and he was
put away for a while.
institutionalized for a
Yeah.
while. He's not a stable man.
so not
But-
the
but
kind of
none of-
guy you want to share information with.
Well, it
but-
was dumb. Like Manning never should have shared any information. Like what he was doing, very dangerous. And
Well, you mean he shouldn't have told people what he was about the information.
Yeah.
He should have shared the videos,
Yes.
but he shouldn't have
The
bragged.
leak
about it.
was good, but he should have been more discreet.
and
about
that's
it.
anytime you get caught, it's because you open your mouth. Like if you just stay quiet, then
Yep, keep your mouth shut.
So that's unfortunate. Go to WikiLeaks.org and follow them on Twitter to get the latest news on the situation.
And
It-
can you can still see that video at collateralmurder.com, right?
Sure.
That's still up. That's
yeah,
a brutal video.
I love WikiLeaks. Unfortunately, they editorialize a lot of stuff, and that kind of turns me off. But the fact, what they do is more important than.
You have a lot of WikiLeaks retweets. That's basically how I keep up with them.
I
put
generally retweet the good stuff and all the editorial things. I just
That's
leave.
why I follow you and I don't follow WikiLeaks.
So I mean, this is it. You could look at it from the perspective of Manning just dropped this potentially legally dangerous information to this guy's hands. It's like saying, hey, I stole all these FBI files. Check it out, man. And then, you're implicated that person in the crime. But that person is posing as a journalist. They have a responsibility to not sell out a source for information. But really, don't talk. If you're going to, it's very important to shed light on misdeeds that governments and other organizations are doing. But you got to be discreet about it. Not everyone is on your side. There are plenty of people who, if you give them the choice that they have to either stand against authority or for authority, they're going to think it's safer to stand for authority, and they're going to sell you out. So everyone out there, be careful, be safe.
Watch who you're talking to. Security culture is like a big thing. There's really, if it's something illegal, and if it's something that somebody else doesn't necessarily need to know, so it really just falls in the realm of bragging or something else like that, do both of you a
Don't-
favor and don't talk about it.
Don't brag, don't run your mouth, It's
Watch the words that come out of your mouth. I mean, it's simple as that. If you have a reason to keep it out of your mouth, do it. Keep it out of your mouth. Don't even think about it. Somebody on Facebook has asked, how do I find the chat room? And I don't know because I don't have to go to the chat room. So who wants to say it?
If you go to thinkingliberty.net,
okay,
on the main page, there'll be a link to chat.
Okay.
Right? You click the link. It'll tell you to put in, I think it asks you to put in a nick, or it logs you in as a guest if you want.
Okay.
Bingo Bango online. You'll be talking in the chat room. We've got Anarcho Tom in the chat room right now. We've got, what's that say underneath him? Anybody see?
Hithar.
Oh, I really thought it said Hitler from here, and I apologize to Hithar. But yeah, so
read.
we've got Luke in there right now. We got a couple of Thinking Liberties, which I think is the default name.
Yeah, I just
All
got on too.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break in a moment here. When we
it's
get back,
Haida.
we're going to be talking to Don Mineshausen. We also have a lot of local news regarding DHS and some of our friends towards the end of the in the second hour. We'll get to that stuff. We have Ryan's game, and we got some other news. So
Apologies to Hythar.
So
Hi
stick
there.
around. We'll be right back. This is Thinking Liberty.
And the fate is moving and the finger points to you. He knocks you to your feet, and so what are you gonna do? Your tongue was frozen, now you've got something to say. The piper at the gates of dawn is calling you his way. You watch the world exploding every single night, dancing in the sun, a newborn in the light. Say goodbye to gravity and say goodbye to death. Hello to eternity, I'll live for every breath. Your time will come. Your time will come. Your time will come. Your time will come.
And we are back on thinkingliberty.net. This is our June 8th, 2010 broadcast. We have Don Meinshausen on the line, but before we get on the interview, we have some recent news about Julian Heiklin.
This
Breaking
is breaking news.
Breaking news.
I got a phone call just as we were going to break. His wife Susan just called me, and she just picked him up from the bus station or train station. I think bus station. So he was released. He had an arraignment today, and apparently he was released. I found out around just a couple minutes before 6 p.m. as I was getting home, and so I called his wife. But he used someone else's cell phone to call her after while he was on the bus or as he was getting off the bus. She picked him up. He's obviously busy now, being reunited with his wife and using the bathroom, as you do when you get out of prison. And she said that the charges were dropped.
That's outstanding news.
Fantastic.
So, yeah,
Good.
And
this is great. I mean, he was in jail in part because he had a bench warrant. So he got arrested on May 25th.
for passing out information on federal property.
Well, right, for refusing to leave when they told him he couldn't pass out information on federal property. He went limp. They took him away. They turned him over to Bellevue Hospital. He had a psych exam, stayed overnight. Then they gave him to the NYPD. They found a bench warrant for his arrest from 2007. They took him to an arraignment, and he said nothing. He, he didn't even plead the fifth. He just stayed quiet. And therefore, they postponed his arraignment till June 8th, today. And he stayed in Rikers Island until today, and then they dropped charges, I guess, in regards to... obviously, I haven't talked to Julian. I don't know all the details, but I'm assuming they dropped the charges with regard to his 2007 arrest, and which was resisting arrest. The charges were resisting arrest and... what was the other thing? What's the other catch-all? Disorderly conduct. Yeah, so that's what he
I
had.
actually have to turn my mic on.
And yeah, so he's free now. And
Okay.
I'm sure he'll be sending out an email, and I'm sure he'll call me later, and I'll post any information I get.
That's excellent news, though.
Okay, so great news about Julian Heiklin.
By the way, you can go to jailedactivist.info for information about Julian, and that'll link you to my blog, Blog of Bile, which has all the specifics of what has been going on.
All right, so you heard it here. Julian Heiklin is out, and charges have been dropped.
You heard it here
Julian.
first.
we have
news
on the
breaks.
line a longtime libertarian activist,
Who
Donald
has also
Meinshausen.
spent time in jail.
He also spent time
He's
in
in
jail. So Donald Meinshausen, I'm saying that correctly, right?
That's right. That's
All right.
right.
All right. Would you like to say a few words of introduction about yourself? Just real
Sure.
quick, who you are. We'll get into some more detailed stuff in a minute.
Okay, fine. Yes, I'm a founder of the libertarian movement in that I organized the famous draft card burning in 1969 at the Ath Convention,
Wow.
which is regarded by our historians as the dramatic moment when our movement was reborn. I've been involved in, shall we say, the underground economy, and I got 4 years prison for my heretical misinterpretation of the First Amendment and the doctrine of free enterprise. I was caught dealing MDMA and hemp. And I write strategy, humor, fiction, and I just heard notice today that some of my poetry is going to be published. And I want to thank you for inviting me on the program. And I want to inform your audience that we have other people that are in jail. One person that I met while I was there was Erwin Schiff. He's the father of Peter Schiff, and he's doing 11 years in prison, and he's about 82 years old, and he's still fighting, and he's in for income tax resistance. So I just want to let people know about that. So, well, what do you want to talk about first?
Okay, well, first I want to thank you for being on the show. It's
Thank you
great
very
to
much.
it's great to have someone
Okay.
with your perspective on. And
Uh-huh.
where can people go to read some of your writings? I know there's some at Free Agents.
Yes.
I basically put a lot of the stuff at Free Agents until I find people who actually want to put them in, zines or publish them or things like that. And I write for Libertarian as well as for Pagan Media, and I'm talking right now to High Times, so they want to interview me as well. While I was dealing, my clients list was like a who's who of New York City. I used to arrange lecture tours for Timothy Leary, who was like Mr. LSD, and Robert Anton Wilson, who's probably one of our most famous science fiction authors and also a pagan. And through them, I met a lot of interesting people. And one of the things that I want to talk to your audience about is strategy. In that we have to, it's not enough to have good ideas. We have to go beyond our, just talking among ourselves and going out and doing outreach. But we can do this in such a way that we can have a lot of fun. And to me, it's fun to help other people see the light about liberty. And I'm assuming that most of your audience is, shall we say, in their 20s, college age.
Yeah, that's probably correct.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Well, I spent decades working for the party collecting petitions on college campuses, and I believe it would be correct to say that marijuana is still a major issue on campus. Probably about half the kids on campus are smoking pot just like their parents did, correct?
I'd say that's correct.
Okay. Well, as you know, there's
Our
no party
educator
other than us that is so good on the subject. One idea I've been trying to put out there to help, campaigns as well as to help ourselves is that we should print up packs of cigarette papers with our message on them. Hopefully, hemp cigarette papers, and let's say put our website, an 800 number, and a couple slogans and things like that. We could sell these things. So let's say we could go, let's say, to rock concerts as well as college campuses, and just get the stuff out there. And it's important to contact your local marijuana groups. At the beginning of May, there was about 350 marijuana rallies all around the world, and these people are looking for good speakers, people who look good in a suit, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And these are people that we can work with. Now, that's number one. Now, for those of us who, let's say, are a little bit more conservative in terms of the people we associate with, the way we dress, probably our best opportunity to reach a lot of people would be the tax revolt and the Tea Party movement, as it's called. In the 70s, I helped organize rallies of up to 10,000 people in the state of New Jersey. And I believe that the tax revolt is going to be to the libertarian movement what labor organizing has been to the left.
I think labor organizing is important if it's done the right way, if it's done in a way as to be anti-authoritarianism rather than
Sure.
we're going to get some big bureaucracy that we can use to wield political power.
I have met libertarians who are labor union officials. I'm not against labor union, but the thing is that people organize on the basis that they're oppressed, and
Yes.
everybody is suppressed by taxes. You can there's even a book called the Encyclopedia of Tax Revolts, which talks about them going back as far as there have been taxes, and you'll find them in every single culture. As a matter of fact, a lot of peasant revolts were actually tax revolts in which all the various classes were organizing against the state and their horrible taxes. So this is something else to do as well. And what that means is that not just having the rallies, but also educating people about how to conduct tax resistance And I think what's going to happen with the present tax revolt movement is eventually people are going to get into massive civil disobedience sit-ins, in congressional offices or at fundraisers, that sort of thing, and just to show that that we are reaching the breaking point here.
Oh, this is.
And I don't have to go into how people are predicting the collapse of the dollar, the euro, and the whole breakdown of the economy.
Oh yeah, we've heard
So
all those
all of
things
that
as well.
is there.
So
Right.
I want to.
And
Wait, Darian
ahead.
wants to get this in real quick. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just with your talk about strategy. It sounds like outreach and being a little creative and talking to different people is a major part of it.
exactly.
I'm wondering, like, well, what you're saying reminded me of something that I did when I was involved in the Rutgers Libertarians. We had a whole bunch of individually wrapped brownies from like Little Debbie or something like that, and we had a table. We put them inside of a giant spaghetti pot, and we are giving out free pot of brownies. But our sign had pot and brownies much bigger, and to each one we taped 4 sentences of like libertarian philosophy, and then like our website on them. So is that an idea, an example of something that you think would be, a good one example
the
of
thing
something?
is that you have to understand that you could sell a narc a bag of oregano and you could still get busted for it. And so you have to understand how far you can go in these things. Unless you really want to get busted and just raise a point or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, when we did it, we were careful to say that they'll contain no illegal substances. So,
Yeah,
but,
well, then you're- I
but
think
the
you're
actual
okay there.
sign, until you got up close, you couldn't see that. You just see like from
Yeah.
across the street, you see pot brownies.
You can get busted at the drop of a hat, though. I mean, it's really.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a
whatever they
tough
want to
spot.
bust
Like
you for.
if you're selling papers too, I mean, they can use it as reasonable suspicion. Calling it paraphernalia.
Well, there's some places that do have paraphernalia laws, but you see, here's the thing is that since we have our political message on there, we can make a First Amendment case of it. And you guys know about jury nullification, right?
Yep.
Yep, we
Okay.
do.
Well,
We were just
if
talking
you
about
do-
Julian
if you
Heichler,
put
so,
information about jury nullification on the papers and they bust you, then they have to introduce the concept of jury nullification into the case.
Oh, that's a good point. I think it makes a lot of
So-
sense to target the users of marijuana because you've got people who, they're already on the same page, at least with some of what you're going to be talking about. They may not have a philosophy to
Right.
back it, but they already understand that
Yeah.
some of the things the government is doing is wrong.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something. I've been working on this issue in New Jersey since 1970, and pushing on this continuously. And one thing that we did when we were conservatives, or at least working with the conservative movement, we would smoke pot with conservatives whenever we could, because we knew that if a conservative smokes pot long enough, they're going to become libertarian. In fact, we've even discovered that when when these conservatives did acid, they would become anarchists quite quickly. There's an interesting article in Alternate magazine by a guy named John Perry Barlow, who used to be a lyricist for the Grateful Dead, and he's now vice chair of Electronic Freedom Foundation, in which he talks about how pot and acid causes people basically to laugh at authority. And this is one of the reasons that the whole authoritarian structure of the 50s broke down. And John is a libertarian, and he's known as the Thomas Jefferson of cyberspace, and he actually bailed me out of prison.
Nice.
That's
So,
a good thing to do.
So
Maybe we should look this guy up.
Yeah,
if you're bringing up
yeah.
if you're bringing up marijuana laws in New Jersey, how do you feel about what was it, Senate Bill 119, the Compassionate Use of Marijuana Act, in Jersey?
For medical marijuana.
Yeah, for medical marijuana.
Well, I know they're trying to put roadblocks on it, but it's law now. I remember Corzine telling me that he did support medical marijuana. It's not that great a law, and I remember in the 70s and 80s, people were saying we should push for medical marijuana, and they said, well, You know, it's like, oh, we got to be sick to smoke pot now, but basically, it's the only way we've gotten things legal. I mean, we don't even have growing up industrial hemp is legal. So, you know, you have to accept these halfway measures, get them done, and then just push further. You know, I mean, there are people now that are, let's say, opposing the marijuana referendum that's going to be on the ballot in California because, you know, they think it just doesn't go far enough. You know, and I say, look, just get whatever you can passed, get it over the 50%, and then next year you just keep pushing all over again. And what's happened is that because of the net, and that everybody's going to the net for their information, the good information is coming out, and more people are becoming more and more aware, and also a lot of people are voluntarily outing themselves. And I mean, I could give you a who's list of tremendously famous people who have either said that they smoke pot and enjoyed it, or that they're for legalization of pot.
I want to.
Glenn Beck, by the way.
Glenn Beck is a massive drug user, so I hear that.
I know. Well, he's a recovering addict, but he's for legalizing pot.
He's done pretty much every drug that I can imagine, and he kind of dried up a little bit, and that's what allowed him to become Mr. Conservative later on. But he still went on a kind of tirade against some drug users and things, and that kind of put people against Beck. But I don't trust Beck either way. Something that
I don't
Darren
trust him either. But you see, when he's come out for legalization, there's a videotape on the net that says he's for legalization.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Ronald Reagan even made a radio program in which he said he was for legalization.
Yes.
And then Newsmax interviewed Michael Reagan, his son, and he said, well, why was Ronald Reagan for legalization? He said,
because he didn't want his own kids to get
were
arrested.
smoking.
Of course, I know. Yeah. So Ron Jr. and Michael and all the rest of them were getting high all the time. Something I wanted to ask you, Don. So real quick.
Yeah.
Strategy for the future. I don't know if you've been looking at what's been going on in New Hampshire at all, but we have the Free State Project up there. There are people doing at least two different methods of libertarian success. They're trying the political route, and some people are trying the civil disobedience route. So I'm wondering, what exactly do you think about the people doing the civil disobedience route? A lot of them are centered in Keene.
What I think that they should do is they should stop getting arrested in Keene.
Okay.
Now, the governor of New Hampshire vetoed some marijuana legislation. What they have to do is find out some real nice party he's going to throw, get as many libertarians or, in fact, non-libertarians, go to a party, like let's say the wedding of his daughter or something like that, and chain themselves to the building in some way and pass out flyers and just basically being as annoying as possible to him.
Wow.
Maybe he'll never change his opinion, but all his friends will say, I don't want these nutcases around me. I don't want them mad at me, But
So
the only
taking
thing
it to a
is
new
that,
level.
So
well, here's the thing, though. You have to do this in such a way that you don't look like you're crazy,
right,
and you don't want to look dangerous. Okay, so in other words, you have to keep your tone of voice lower than theirs.
Okay.
And basically you got to look good on YouTube.
Yes, you have
Because
to look
that's
good on
what's gonna
YouTube
be
these
seen.
days. That's how it is.
Yeah, we
That's
really got to
it.
use all the modern means of communication.
Absolutely.
YouTube, Twitter,
Right.
anything successful is going to leverage these communications technologies.
Your protest has to be an act of theater.
Yes.
And and that means that in the 60s we made this mistake of we really scared out mainstream America because we were young and
they're freaking out the norms
even though
over
we
there.
were right. Exactly. And so you have to do this with a certain amount of nuance, or else you basically have to make it into an act of comedy, which is what Hoffman, Abbie Hoffman and Jerry Rubin did. So you can go for something like that, and the fact that we now have been, we've seen this stuff for the past 40 years. People are not going to get so scared of it nowadays. Now, what I would like to see is young libertarians go to the next wave of tea parties and start passing out flyers saying, if you want to cut taxes, let's end the drug war.
That makes a lot
This
of
way
sense
we
to me.
show our
And the drug war, the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan,
the whole bit.
Yes.
I mean,
End
to
the
say,
whole ball
say
of
you
wax.
support them, what they do. Tell them you're a Ron Paul Republican. But when they see the flyers, they'll understand that, you're not just some ballast there for the GOP. And, so this way, they'll understand you're not an infiltrator, but you're not GOP either. So, we have to maintain, a kind of a presence in the Tea Party movement so that, they can't just assume that everybody there is part of it. And there are, a lot of conservatives, they read our sites, they understand our arguments, and, they're kind of halfway, to us already. So, you want to look for opportunities to get yourself into some interesting discussions. Maybe people won't come over all the way, but that's okay. At least they'll understand, what's going on.
I think it's important to at least get people moving in a more libertarian direction. They might not agree with you, but at least they won't be fighting you as much. I was kind of disappointed the last Tea Party I had went to. There was it was basically a small group of conservatives praising New Jersey's current governor, Chris Christie.
It's just a right-wing circle jerk.
Being like, thank God for these conservatives being in power. Here's how we're going to get more power. Let's look at, these elections coming up. And then I see Campaign for Liberty there. And one of the things they're passing out is a flyer, against abortion for overturning Roe versus Wade. So, at least there's an untapped,
there's a lot to be said, as tough as it is. There's a lot to be said for getting in there and at least starting the conversation. I know when I see groups of people like that and when I interact with groups of people like that, I've wanted to just be like, brah, you guys are crazy, right? But you've got to get in there and you got to say, oh, yeah, Chris Christie, yeah, smaller government's a good idea. Here's some other things that here's the discretionary spending, and this is where it goes. And look at this giant chunk.
Sure.
You get rid of this. So you got to kind of work your way in there. You got to establish a rapport with people. Otherwise, they're just not going to want to talk to you.
You have to establish the rapport, and then also you should point out to them how George Bush sold us out, how McCain was no better. How Nixon sold us out, for example. And when you meet a person who's, let's say, a hardcore pro-life, you say, all right, the way we'll handle it like Ron Paul says. We'll have it decided by every single state, hopefully by a referendum in every state. And when I talk to, people on the left or people on the right, if I know that they really are concerned about democracy and returning the power to the people, I ask them, do they support initiative on referendum and recall?
Okay.
And I'd rather trust my neighbors rather than trust the New Jersey or any state legislature. And
I think a lot of it comes down to the local level, and that is going to involve talking to people who, at least now, don't agree with you on very much. But you're never going to agree with everyone 100%. So it's important to integrate these new views into things.
And the social issues that divide, conservatives and libertarians, this is how we can work around them, by decentralizing and by referendums and stuff. In New Jersey, by the way, you have something called the Faulkner Act, which does allow for local referendums, and you might want to check that out sometime.
That's something that I know some of my friends are interested in. It's a way to get it local issue on a referendum that will be voted on in the election.
Right.
Yeah. And even in Newark, we've won referendums. So
Don?
I need to know how bad Newark is. Go ahead.
All right. So something I wanted to ask on the topic of Republican conservatives and our relation to them and all that. I wanted to ask you, because you've been around for a very long time. Well, no insult meant by that. But what exactly happened to Dana Rohrabacher?
Well, Dana Rohrabacher, from what I understand, he does introduce legislation, the Rohrabacher-Hinckley thing, which basically would allow every state to handle marijuana on its own basis.
Yeah.
And he was part of a Cato forum in which he said the involvement in Afghanistan was a mistake.
Okay, that's an improvement
from
his original war support.
We are, of course, people, grouse about him all the time.
Yes.
But I would say that he is probably one of the 10 best members of the House. But, of course, that's not saying much.
That's not saying very much. He seems to have fallen so far. I mean, the guy used to be a pretty consistent and well-known, anarcho-capitalist kind of, at least according to
Yeah.
Robert
Yeah.
Lefebvre and
Yeah.
Mr.
Sure,
Konkin.
sure.
Like they also talk about Dana
And-
Rohrabacher's planting these seeds all over the country, and now he's part of the state, for war, at least maybe not as for war as he used to be, but how do you
Yeah.
get from that to what he is now? It seems like it's one of the dangers
Well,
that I see in interacting with the conservatives in the first place, because you might end
well,
up like Dana
I
Rohrabacher.
understand that too. I mean, some of us, I think, feel called to go into the heart of the enemy, and find the commonalities and get to positions of power, et cetera, et cetera. And maybe occasionally, you can get a person like that to make a good speech or introduce a good bill or whatever. And there's some people who just, totally throw out after being even just an hour in Washington, D.C. in the wrong place. What you have to do is you find the kind of people that you're comfortable with and you work with them. And myself, I lurch back between left and right because I go to Socialist Scholars Conferences as well as going to CPAC conferences, and I find people at both groups that I find incredibly disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
Do you
And
ever get whiplash when you do that?
He goes
Yeah,
from
well,
left to right.
it's fun, and it gives you a certain type of balance. What I do, though, is that I also go to completely non-political events in which I find other free people, such as Burning Man, rock concerts, pagan festivals, and also rainbow gatherings, in which I can just, light up a joint and hang out with people and watch somebody who's all painted tie-dye walking by and realize, oh, I'm not the weirdest person here. That's great. That sort of thing. But,
That is
you just have to
outstanding, by the way. That gets a
Okay,
big
well-
thumbs up from me.
I mean, to not be the weirdest person in the room.
Yeah, to not be the weirdest person
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done that.
Yeah, well, that's why you want to encourage those people, to be brave and to do that. So you don't have to push out the envelope anymore. Somebody else can do it for you. So and I'm really glad that we're in a movement that can have transgendered people
Yeah.
as well as evangelical Christians, and they can get
Yeah,
along
they're
with
in there
each other.
too.
I mean, that's miraculous. I mean, here's the thing, you guys. In the course of your life, you're going to see people, cutting their hair and moving into the suburbs because they fell in love and they want to get, and they got married and they want to raise kids and all that stuff. And you're going to see other people change their sexes, and you'll probably see most of your friends change their religion during the course of their life. So in order that everybody can stay talking to each other, being a libertarian is probably the best thing you could be.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a way to introduce social peace of sorts, where anything that's not infringing on another person's freedom is at least tolerated, if not encouraged.
Yes.
Yeah. So and being in college or grad school that you guys are, I mean, are you let's say working well with people who have different ideas from us in terms of left and right, and are you in a sense kind of like the go-between or midpoint between these people, or what?
Absolutely.
So,
man.
yeah,
That's-
sometimes
that's
I
what we
would
do
say.
in our outreach. And we're the recent anarchist book fair. Like, we're not just talking to other market anarchists or anarcho-capitalists here. We're also talking to other anarchists of other stripes. So socialist anarchists,
Okay.
anarcho-communists, and things. And this is the kind of things that we do today. But no, Darian wanted to ask something about the past, thinking about the 1960s. What exactly do you want to say,
Well,
Darian?
I mean, you've been, experienced in this stuff for a while. I'd really like to hear your perspective on like the 60s libertarian politics. I mean, I know you mentioned the draft card burning, but if you could just, give us some, like, your perspective on how the whole modern libertarian movement kind of came out of what was going on during the 60s and then kind of, went on
Sure,
from there.
I'm happy to talk about that. I was involved in Youth for Goldwater. I also used to go to Ayn Rand lectures. And when I went to college, the college I went to was not, shall we say, it was a 2-year college in Newark, and I decided as a kind of a political experiment to form an SDS chapter. And so I went to SDS conferences because I was basically envious that they were so successful. And I found people who were anarchists, left anarchists in SDS. And I talked, when I heard, got on my first libertarian piece of literature, I got in contact with Murray Rothbard. I introduced myself as an SDSer, and that's the way he treated me. And I said, Murray, this whole libertarian stuff sounds intriguing. At the next YAF conference, I want to have a panel on the spectrum of conservatism. And he said, well, I wouldn't be good for that, but we can have Carl Hess speak there. We had just had an article appearing in Playboy. So we had Carl Hess, Jerome Tuchili was an objectivist at the time, and two conservatives. And they made libertarianism sound so good that there was a whole bunch of us who just kind of signed up at that point, and we formed a libertarian caucus. And I was a member of the anarchist caucus of SDS and the anarchist caucus of Young Americans for Freedom.
What year was this?
1969.
1969.
It was the year of Woodstock, and we went to the moon. And with so much weird stuff going on, it was just absolutely incredible. And what we've been doing ever since that time is that we've been trying to do outreach to the left and, on the issues of the war, and outreach to the right, etc. But it really hasn't been taken hold until recently, because we're much smaller than the left and right. I mean, for a while we were outnumbered by the Maoists, if you could imagine that, and now it's like libertarians are a force in and of themselves. So basically, we can talk to everybody.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's almost like libertarians, or alternately anarchists, are like almost become the new boogeymen. Like when you hear a media talking head, it's my political opponent, they support anarchy, or they have extreme libertarian views, or blaming the ideas of libertarian ideas for the economic collapse. It's like we're the new communists almost.
Well, the only person I know is being attacked that way is Rand Paul, who's running for Senate, in Kentucky.
Well, I mean, he considers himself a conservative. I mean, he says, I'm not a libertarian in one of his interviews.
Yeah, I know. But, people are still attacking him for his libertarian points of view anyway, and he's going to be the most libertarian person in the Senate. So it's going to be interesting. Okay. And, of course, there's going to be other people running. I expect in 2012, our candidate is not going to be Ron Paul. It's going to be Gary Johnson, former governor of New Mexico, and that's going to be interesting. And, what I'm hoping for is that there'll be a kind of a left opponent of Obama, and maybe like somebody like Dennis Kucinich or something like that. And I once went to a Green Party convention. I said, you guys are trying to do to the Democrats what we're trying to do to the Republicans. We should have more communication about what we're trying to do. And there has, we do that sometimes. And sometimes they just, on their discussion boards, they put up some of our stuff. And, so there's some, there's communication there, but they're quite weak because basically they have a hard time figuring out their own identity. But the early Greens in the mid 70s, before Ralph Nader, were very libertarian. They were kind of trying to imagine a Georgia.
There's a lot of overlap there too. I mean, when you're talking about third parties in general, there's a lot that you have in common. I mean, you have to deal with the system that's stacked against you. So, I mean, just from the point of view of talking to another political party, if you're talking about the Libertarian Party and you're talking about the Green Party, there's a whole lot that you can talk about, and there's a lot of initiatives that you can both support. So I think that's a good way to bridge the gap, which I'm sure you've encountered.
Yeah, right. And, it's sometimes you find that the what's happening in their movement is happening in your movement. You get the same types of personality problems and things like that. And you just have to, to understand, that political movements attract a lot of people who like to be a big fish in a small pond. Some of them have personality problems.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Like that. Someone you always have to deal with.
Yeah, sure. But the thing is that we also get a lot of creative types, too. One thing that I'm researching now is that a lot of interesting things are happening now in terms of religion, in terms of that evangelicals as well as pagans and other New Agers are basically saying you don't need a priest to basically get the spiritual experience. You can get it directly, okay? And that's, very radical and very libertarian.
Dude, what is it, the Protestant Reformation? I mean, The whole idea
Yeah, well,
of booting out the priest.
yeah, well, that's what. Yeah, you don't need the church or the priest to get the message. In fact, the Protestant Reformation, as well as the American Revolution, was a byproduct of the invention of the printing press. Neither of those two events were possible without the printing press, and the printing press basically mandated that those two events take place. And what is happening now with the invention of the internet is going to mean you're going to have another series of events just like those, but they're going to be happening all over the world. And they're also going to be much more peaceful as well.
Okay. Yeah, I would actually like to hear. You mentioned before that you're a pagan, and how do you feel like this?
What does paganism mean? What is that? That's an unusual term to use.
And how does it intersect with your libertarian views, or like how does this whole idea of how does like your idea of religion fit into your political views?
The Wiccan Rede goes something like this: "Do what thou wilt, and harm ye none." It's the religion that's most friendly to female spirituality, and it's also the religion that's most open to the use of psychedelics, which I'm also a fan. Being a writer, there's a tremendous amount of imagery and metaphors and mythology that I could work with. People can be very creative in terms of ceremonial design. You'll find, for example, a lot of libertarians as well as pagans in the Unitarian Universalist Church, which is a very libertarian type of church, even though you find a lot of liberals there as well. So, but you will find conservatives who are pagans as well as conservatives in the Unitarian Church too. As you get older, people start looking for some type of spiritual framework for their lives. Is the best way that I can explain it. But there have been some amazing experiments involving the use of psychedelics that have helped people attain tremendous levels of creativity, spirituality, as well as helping people with addiction, post-traumatic stress syndrome, and problems like end of life, things like that.
And this would be a lot easier to do if these things weren't illegal. If it would be, you didn't have to apply a big permit to experiment with these mostly harmless substances.
Right. So, for example, I would suggest that your friends, let's say if they decide to do psychedelics, they should do a little reading up on it and go to sites like Erowid or MAPS, M-A-P-S.
Yeah, highly recommend Erowid.
Good
Erowid is
resource.
very good, very good.
Yeah. And I find that a lot of these people who go to these conferences, extremely bright. The speakers all have all PhDs and MDs, etc. A good place to recruit, and they're finding people that are just doing amazing stuff. The guy who invented polymerase chain reaction is a libertarian and an acid head. The guy who created Alcoholics Anonymous did LSD. So you find just amazing people there, and I don't have to tell you, just about all our music of the '60s was written by acid heads. But I don't know whether do you find if you find acid heads are writing today's music as well?
Actually, yeah, kind of. I remember I was at Liberty Forum just the other year, and Jay Holmes was there, and he likes talking about psychedelics a lot. But he's like the consummate musician spirit kind of person, and yeah, I noticed that there were a lot of musicians still experimenting with this stuff. So, yeah,
that's interesting.
Oh, good.
Don, you've mentioned to me that you've been arrested for some illegal activity involving drugs.
Yes.
Would you like to you don't have to go into all the details, but just say does this have something to do how do you feel this has to do with libertarian activism, and how would something like that fit into a strategy for building a free future?
Well, I would suggest to everyone that you research the drug before you do it. There's a wonderful book by Dr. Andrew Weil call From Chocolate to Morphine. Andrew Weil is probably the most famous physician in America. Harvard Medical School, teaches medicine at University of Arizona, studied shamanism. That's a good book, and there's plenty of stuff on the net. Also, I would, strongly suggest that the person does not sell or do anything except psychedelics or pot. And that if you're involved with this, basically, the people that you do drugs with are kind of a reflection of yourself. In fact, your customers in almost any endeavor are going to be in some way a reflection upon you. So be careful about the people that you associate with, is one thing that I would say. And they don't all have to be genius rock stars or something like that. Just they have to be basically, be stable. And I was, I'm the kind of person that I carefully researched everything, and this was in the days before the internet as well. And it was a great life. I work a few hours a day, make a couple $100 a day. I would go to all these events all over the place, rock concerts, New Age conferences, and I would make money there because I would find people who were into the same thing that I was in, and it's a wonderful life, but it has its risks, and you can go to prison. When I went to prison, I met people who, shall we say, did not have such an ethical view of life, and we exchanged information about things. And the black ghetto guys that were into selling, crack and heroin and stuff like that, they were not making as much money as I did, and they just didn't have access to some of the things that I did. But you have to understand that these guys, rap music is based on these dudes. And you'll find rap all over the place, and rap is the most powerful form of music that there is. And I'm hoping that, that some of us are making, overtures to these people that, the drug war's wrong, it's racist and all of that, but if you sell crack and heroin, you're destroying your community. So you can basically just sell pot and, be a good
probably
dude.
Interesting to note. Have you heard, I forget if it's JWH or JWL 18. It's a drug that was synthesized to stimulate endocannabinoid receptors, and it has an effect. You can read about it on Erowid, but it has an effect very, very similar. Some people say exactly the same to cannabis. The difference being that it's as of yet currently unscheduled, so it's not on the CSA, it's not on the Controlled Substances Act as of yet. It's sold
and they're
under
trying to ban it in a couple of states right now. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly.
Yes, I've heard of that. Yes,
it's sold as incense. A couple names for it was Spice. Lucy Jane was another one. But it's interesting to keep up with the science of it because of the wording of the federal drug laws. They're very, very specific as to what they ban. So if you get a slightly different form of something, it needs to be specifically categorized.
But they can ban something instantly. You know that. That because I know about this whole designer drug thing. And what you have to do is you have to put a coalition immediately, and everybody's sending me emails. And what they'll do sometimes is that they'll back off and take the language out, and then later when something else looks like it's going to go through, they just attach it on as an amendment, that sort of thing. And they're going to do this type of thing constantly because they know that the drug war means a lot of funding for the cops who vote. The prison guard unions are very well organized because that's the only jobs that they can guarantee out in the hinterlands. That sort of thing. They take a guy who just came back from Iraq. He can't do anything really because he's only got a high school degree, and he could be a prison guard and basically do the same thing that he was when he was a soldier. So that sort of thing, and that type of attitude, you got to fight it.
I've got a question for you. Do you feel that engaging in potentially illegal activity is a good way, is an effective way to kind of carve out freedom in our time and build freedom for the future, or is it just kind of or not?
you're carving out a personal lifestyle. If you have decided, let's say, that I want to get married and raise kids, a lot of women are just not going to go for that because you are endangering their nest. And believe me, it was heartbreaking for when women said, "You're a great boyfriend, but I'm scared of you as a husband," that type of thing. So you have to make that type of a decision, and you can get caught, you can get go into jail. But I will say this though, is that I've been a couple of jails, and I was safe. Okay, and one of the reasons is that I know how to communicate with people. If you're a pot dealer, they know that you're not much of a problem, and they're going to put you in a low security, and they're not going to keep you, very long. Towards the end of prohibition, they ramped up the penalties, but it's like we're at a point now where we could see pot legal in a year or two, especially if we win, in California. You just basically, as Timothy Leary said, you have to feel a calling for it, a spiritual calling for it, that you understand that this does have a spiritual dimension unto itself, and that you understand that your clients as well as their suppliers are a reflection of who you are. And sometimes it's you can't find the right supplier, and you just have to work with people who.
Okay.
I got in trouble because my supplier was got busted. But things like that.
Okay.
But,
we're coming towards the end of this segment. Is there anything you want to put out there, to put out for our listeners before we head into break?
Yeah, I think it's important for people just to reach out beyond their circle and go and talk to other people as much as possible, and you can do that, of course, online. Usually you can find out a good tactic because it's fun to do, and you search out people who, look for people who are ambitious, or basically you think they're going to create something in the next couple of years, that they're on some type of cutting edge, because those are the people that we want to work with. There's a lot of people out there that I remember meeting. The guy who founded Wired Magazine was the founder of the Libertarian movement, and you saw what happened to him. That sort of thing. And we are the people that are forming the future that way. A lot of people in science fiction, things like that. Okay. And it's just go out there and talk to people. And my email address is freedonnow. I'm on Facebook. I'd love for people to contact me and read my stuff and send me their stuff, and I'll make comments on it as well. And I hope I hear from you guys again real soon.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for appearing. Don.
All right, thanks a lot for being on the show. Again, this is Donald Meinshausen. Then last name is spelled Meinshausen, and
That's
you
a
can
long
find
name.
him on Facebook and fr33agents.net. Don, thanks a lot for coming. We're gonna go to break here, and when we come back, we got some local libertarian news, and we've got Bosco's new game. Stay tuned.
Bosco's big
Over the
game.
government.
Okay, that's cool.
are back on Thinking Liberty. We've got some news ahead of you. What are you about to say?
That's not
I was
news.
going to say
It's
woohoo.
about to say woohoo.
That is news to him.
That's
apparently.
news. Woohoo.
All right, so moving on.
We've got, if you're just joining us, we had Don Mineshausen on for a while. We had some announcements at the beginning of the show.
Yep.
What I want to get into now is our friend George Donnelly.
What's going
Now,
on with George?
Apparently, his original charges were dropped, and then they filed
good.
new charges
Damn.
based on a new complaint made by a police officer, which contradicts the complaint originally made by that police officer.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it does if you're trying to get this guy, no matter what. In the old complaint, the guy he said that George didn't. There's no mention of George actually like striking anyone or anything, and in this new complaint, it says that this guy witnessed George like striking this officer, and
So what's
Basically,
the
it's-
next complaint going to be?
the next complaint he's got WMDs. I guess I don't know.
So they've
He's got a vial of anthrax.
He tackled the Pope.
He tackled the Pope. Oh my
With
gosh.
anthrax.
He had anthrax arms and he used them. So, what happens? They've conveniently gotten around that whole double jeopardy thing by just coming up with new charges completely opposite of what they originally had.
So this is all at copblock.org.
A good organization.
Who works
yes.
for Cop Block? Do we know anybody who works?
Adam Mill does.
Yeah, Adam Muller. Does Pete Ayer actually work with Cop Block? I've seen him post on there.
I've seen him in the background
His-
while calls are being made.
yes,
All
yes,
right,
that's
so
it.
Pete Ayer's involved. So Cop Block, great organization. I think you should check them out. They have a good Twitter feed too, if you need to keep
And
up with them.
they still have a competition going on, right?
The
They
competition.
do.
They have a promo, like a film a cop promo.
No,
I think.
actually, I think that ended.
Oh.
That ended, but they might have a new one in the future. Our
Okay.
promo, however, is still going
It's
on.
still on. We will not, however, give you $250.
We will give you a copy of Bringing Gun to School
And a
Day
t-shirt.
and a T-shirt,
which is way more valuable.
and
know.
unspecified items.
Yeah. I'm gonna just let them go. They can entertain you all night. See what these two go. All right.
sounds
Whenever
a
you
little
say
dirty.
Cop Block, I start thinking of Futurama. With that the episode where they go back to Zoidberg's planet and they do the battle. It's like it's the ancient form of. It's called Cop Block.
Really, I think of Cock Block. when I-
Yeah.
You think of
So
why
do
is
I.
it that he thinks of Cock Block? I don't know.
How come the guy who always thinks about sex isn't thinking cock block right now?
I'm thinking of Cop Block, which is all
Maybe-
about sex.
Yeah, Clop Block is all about sex. That's how you pick your new mate. You have to battle it out in the arena
if-
with
if-
like giant. What are those things?
I'm
The
just going to call
giant
them
crabs.
lob crack things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a nutcracker, but for lobsters. Yeah. You got to
all right.
watch more Futurama.
So again, check that out.
She shakes her head.
COPBLOC.org, copblock.org, and joedonnelly.com, I think is his website. It's
I do believe
it's DONNELLY, George Donnelly.
really
Came
nice
out.
guy. by
Yeah,
the
you
way.
should
Very nice.
pitch
If you meet
into
him in
his
person,
defense.
He's a nice guy.
All right, so in other Department of Homeland Security, George wasn't DH yet. In other courthouse Julian Heiklin related news, Bile has some new information on his case.
Yeah, so background is that on November 9th, I was arrested, November 9th, 2009. I was arrested by the same officer, Clifford Barnes, number 245, who arrested Julian. I was arrested for filming Julian. Filming on federal property is against some regulation, and I was arrested and issued a ticket. I went to the NYCLU. We got the charge dismissed, and then we filed a civil suit against Janet Napolitano of the DHS and the arresting officer, and John Doe, who was some unknown officer who was part of the arrest.
Secret police.
The secret officer.
police.
And so today I had a conference with the NYCLU lawyers, and they informed me that the assistant U.S. attorney that is dealing with the case is attempting to get the federal regulation that deals with this, I guess maybe not changed, but officially reinterpreted, so that they've more or less admitted that the way in which they were enforcing this regulation is contrary to First Amendment and general
Okay.
practice, and that rather than going to court, they want to have the case dismissed, but have like a, I don't know what it's called legally, but basically they're admitting their guilt, but without having it go to court, and then say they would have some official document saying that
That sounds like nolo contendere. It's,
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just throwing that in there.
I don't know if the lawyers had said anything, but
Okay.
I didn't pay enough attention to recall whether or not they named what it was. But basically, the head lawyer said that what they would do is write up, yes, the charges against us are more or less accurate. We're going to we admit this, and this is how we're going to deal with it in the future, and here's the write up that we're going to give to the officers, or this is how we're going to retrain them, or this is how we're going to deal with it. And then they'd give it to us, we'd accept it or not, and if we accept it, then the case effectively gets dismissed, and they have to abide by these instructions that they've said that they were going to abide by. And so it looks like there certainly is merit to the case, and they may be giving what we want without us having to take them to court, which, in my opinion, doesn't really matter. And I mean, it costs more money to the court, and I think maybe it would be a stronger win that way. But even so, if I'm or if no one's going to be arrested on federal property, at least in New York, so federal property in New York or maybe New York City, like 500 Pearl Street, which is where we were arrested. If that's found, if they change their policy, then anywhere in the country, so long as you're just filming on federal property, you could hand out, you could stand there in front of the FPS officer, show him this write-up for New York federal property. Be like, look, I'm just filming. This should apply universally because it's federal property. And if you're arrested, you certainly could use that in court and probably be very strong precedent.
So certainly a step forward, and you're in better territory now. Than you were.
All like legislation and stuff has cool names though. So can we call it like Biles Agreement? Can that be like
Biles
the
Agreement.
shorthand for it? And you're
I
like,
don't
well,
know.
according to the provisions of Biles Agreement, whoosh, and you whip
Can we
it
just
out.
call it Biles bitch slap?
Oh, that's even better. I like that.
We can call it whatever
there they
we
go
want. I
again.
don't know if they would allow that, but
I think your
can push
next
for that.
motion should be, can we call this law blank?
Listen, we're gonna go to court unless you call this.
So something I did ask
Unless
before and
you
I didn't
say
get an answer to was
Biles
whether
a
you got
man.
any, punitive damages. Did you get any kind of a reward for?
So part of what the lawyers told me today was that they're willing to do this, but they want me to go away. Is how they put it, which
They can pay you to go.
well, they want me to go away in that they don't want to pay me. They want this. They want the.
But you're considering it.
Well, so they want this to be the concession that they're gonna not go to court, and I guess they think that they can win, which if they're giving us this, it seems to me that they actually believe, or the lawyers believe, that they wouldn't win, but they want to give me this and then not give me damages. Now, damages were the least important and opinion, and in their opinion, the least important aspect of this. The false arrest and the harassment that came here, because they continue, even when Julian was arrested on the 25th, they were, it appeared that they were trying to take photos of me. They were looking at me. They were obviously like doing things to sort of monitor me, and it's rather intimidating when you've got several NYPD cars, around the block. You've got FPS officers all around, and then the security guards for the court, and they're just staring at you or taking out their cell phones and taking photos of you. Not that I really don't care about the money, but the lawyer's like, it doesn't hurt to ask. They don't want to give it to you, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
That's true.
And it would be like a couple $100 at
That
most.
sounds
So,
good. I mean,
but-
how much time did you lose for this? It seems like you lost
quite a bit, but
paying for lawyers, seeking out attorneys, representation, doing research. That costs a lot of your time. They really should be paying you something. But if you're willing to forego any kind of damages just to make this go away, then I can't blame you. So.
well, it's not even that I want it to go. I'm just not. I want to give them as much headache as possible,
Okay.
but still get what we want, And so if I can try to tweak a little bit of cash out of the arresting officer,
Yeah, I mean, the fees from the NYCLU they're covered, right? Because they
Yeah.
took this pro bono.
yeah.
Also, don't forget that somewhere in the floor of some federal evidence locker somewhere, there is your SD card probably shoved in a crack. And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
if we go to upload this podcast and we do not have the space, we might be able to use that 1 gig or whatever
It's
it
an
was.
8 gig card.
It's an 8 gig card. Oh, look at that!
It might even be a class 6. I don't remember.
Wow.
But they're still attempting to get my memory card, which the memory card is related to the case that they had against me, which was
Right.
totally dismissed. So they're holding on to property, and
Okay, so you
and
can-
they won't return calls.
You can sue them for that.
Probably
Yes,
if they
you can make a career out of this now.
Hey, I think Julian at one point told me, because I've got a court case on Monday too, totally unrelated to Liberty, except, well, someone stole stuff from me, and I'm trying to get it back. But Julian was telling me that, I'm end up being just like him, pro se, suing everybody, it's just...
Yeah.
Who's the what's his name? He ran for lieutenant governor. John Paff.
John Paff.
He's a good guy to talk to about pro se and suing everybody. He spent a lot of time in Trenton. Interesting dude.
I don't know that I want to spend a lot of time in Trenton.
Nobody wants to spend a lot of people who live in Trenton don't want to spend a lot of time in Trenton.
How do you get out of Trenton anyway?
You go north, south, west you hit water, or east. But it's a lot harder than it sounds.
Okay.
All right. So some good news from Bile there. So I guess you're gonna talk it over with NYCLU folks and
Yeah, the lawyers told me that they should be getting back to me probably by the end of the week. So
cool.
I should have
Congrats.
news by Monday.
And you can follow this at blogofbile.com and the Blog of Bile Twitter feed.
This
Yep.
is like the happy show right here. We've got like 2 pieces of news, and
I like good news.
I know good news is
Hey.
nice.
Good
Let's
news
get into
for people
some-
who like good news.
So let's get into some news with good and bad aspects to it.
Oh, you
Okay.
want to bring us down?
We're
That's
we're
what you
getting
want.
That's who he
into
is. He's a damn
non-black
downer.
and white here.
It's got to be about black and white for us.
It's got to be about black and white. In this case, it's about red and black. There's
Oh,
a
boy.
cafe in Portland, Oregon called the Red and Black Cafe.
I've heard of this cafe.
It's an anarchist cooperative. It's a Industrial Workers of the World affiliated and a vegan
Wobbly.
place. So they've got all that going on. They've been around for about a decade, from what I understand, and they recently got into some controversy. What happened was some lame like suburbanite statist blogger
You
was
don't
there.
have to put ad hominems in there already. Just say what happened.
It's not an ad hominem; it's a descriptive.
I guess
And
you
if
could
you
say-
read,
Okay,
if,
so you're
if
saying
you
this person
read-
can't walk. That's what you're saying.
if
You're using
you
a
read
pejorative
this
way of
blog
saying they
post-
can't walk.
If you read this blog post, have you read it? Have you read the blog
I've read the
post?
blog post.
The blog post. It's terrible.
Still, ad
I would-
hominems just weaken your argument.
All right,
So
continue.
it's terribly lame. Like
There you
at
go.
least Mao Zedong has tenacity in his writing. This was just a groan fest. I
Mao-
wanted to
Oh,
puke.
God.
It was terrible. I couldn't even get through this thing without like expending a large amount of effort. So
oh gosh.
anyway.
Good. Mao's got a lot of flowery talk too, which is cool. So, all right, yeah, continue.
A lot of flowers that grow out of the barrels of guns.
There you
oh wait,
go.
that's power. Sorry.
I like flowers.
Power flowers.
Continue. So, Red and Black Cafe, on point. Go.
This blogger was in this place with her daughter, and a police officer, uniformed police officer,
Right.
came in. And this is an anarchist space where, there are a lot of radical folks around, people the cops like to keep tabs on. They serve some people who are at the fringes of society who cops will often, attack or get on the, cops will push these people around a lot. These are the kinds of
And they
people
have.
who are in this cafe. There have recently been some pretty outrageous shootings that the Portland Police Department was involved in. So this guy comes in, he gets his cup of coffee and he starts leaving, and then this lame blogger
Oh.
is talking to him How are we supposed to know who I'm talking about? I don't say this
The
lame
blogger. The
Just
blogger
say
in question.
The blogger in question. The person who actually instigated a lot of this.
Okay, the loser in question is speaking to the police officer, and then one of the worker owners of the cafe, because it's a horizontally organized, self-managed business.
Interesting.
This person's asked the cop to leave because people don't feel safe with armed, uniformed police officers hanging out in this cafe. So this blogger wrote a crappy blog post about it, and eventually local media picked up the story. Then CNN had a video about it.
Yeah.
And there's so many outrageous things that people were saying, giving death threats to Red and Black.
What was up
some
with that?
overt
Immediately.
death threats.
Immediately, death threats start coming out of this.
Immediately overt death threats, and quite a lot of thinly veiled death threats.
Why is that
just
surprising, though?
like,
You're dealing with
just
people
you
who
wait.
like violence. Why is it surprising that you get death threats?
It just shows the violence that's behind these people's motivations. Is just you wait until something happens at Red and Black. Oh, what if my friends come there and you're not going to call the cops? So this
I think
happened.
one of them
and,
was, I love this comment. I hope a real anarchist group like the Hells Angels shows up and you can't call the cops.
because the Hells Angels are all about abolishing authority and
totally.
consensual organization.
Yes.
Someone talked about real anarchists as if they know.
That they were saying that
See,
was
Wow,
all right,
wow.
if you're gonna criticize people, you should probably spend a little time reading, and so you actually know what the hell you're talking
That
about.
takes work. We're
'cause
Americans here, dude.
It's easier just to toss ad hominems. That's a good style argument there.
There you go.
like that lame blogger did.
Oh God.
So the Red and Black's got a lot of support, though. They're still in business. No one's attacked them. There have been some protesters outside.
Some weirdo wrote a C4SS article about it.
I saw that there. And,
Some other lame blogger.
yeah.
Some of your own
No,
medicine
actually,
author,
I'm
lame
an
author.
I'm an author and an awesome blogger.
I see. There we go. So you're a published author, a lame published author.
Lame. See, you don't have a basis for using the word
Of
lame.
course
This,
not.
it's a descriptive word, and if something sucks,
I can
it's
think of all
lame.
kinds of descriptive
I
words.
got plenty of bases. I'm right here. There's gravity.
Oh
You
God.
guys. I hate you guys.
Sound like Cartman now.
I hate you guys.
No, these guys are all right.
All right,
So,
no,
let's see.
so something that Roderick put up on his blog, I thought that was pretty clever. It was about Rand Paul. Because we all know that Rand Paul has been, he's talked about the end of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, and he was against certain things or for
Well,
certain
see,
things, but I don't
he's
really
for
care.
the freedom of association,
So I hear.
the freedom of Americans and Mexicans to associate with each other without federal. Oh, wait.
No, I guess not. Yeah, but
Yeah, we need an underground electric fence and helicopters. But go on.
gun turrets to keep those Mexicans in their place. Apparently, well, no, we're not
Do
going
they
to use.
have missiles
We're
and
not-
rocket launchers and
They do.
explosions?
They do. That's exactly.
I saw.
Haven't you heard from the drug warriors and the border warriors that they're having a war on the border right
Haven't
now?
you seen his militaristic ads where it's all fighter jets and helicopters?
I
and
try-
plane
Oh, good
suits?
God.
I try
Seriously?
not to watch Rand Paul's ads here, but anyway, I'm reading Dr. Long's blog post here. He says, if you're interested in signing a petition asking Rand Paul to support Red and Black Cafe's right to bar cops from their premises, click here. And he's a petition that was written by Rocky Eades. And he writes in parentheses, I don't know how thrilled the cafe would be with Paul's support, but I doubt they're at much risk of getting it. So just, a little catch-22 for Rand Paul
Asking
there.
for some consistency from Rand Paul.
Yeah.
That,
I mean, I've met Rand Paul. I've talked with Rand Paul.
you know everybody.
No, Donald Mineshausen. He knows everybody. Me,
that's
I know a subset of everybody.
I guess.
There's a cat coming
so
toward me.
you've met Rand Paul.
I've
and
met Rand and his family. I mean, I've talked to Rand, and I don't really think that he's a libertarian. I've spent enough time with it. I think that he's not his father. And his father isn't a libertarian, but his father is a little closer to being a libertarian. Maybe a lot closer compared to Rand.
I mean, I'm okay with the label libertarian being used
To being stretched
for Ron Paul. He certainly has a lot of unlibertarian positions.
I would like
to
call Ron Paul
blatant
somewhere
about.
between a conservative and a classical liberal. He's somewhere between those, and I use libertarian really as a thing about consistent liberty things, which I would use to even identify anarchists who aren't really sometimes aren't even consistent liberty folk.
To me, libertarian it's about being for individual liberty against authority. So someone who's consistently libertarian
Right.
would be an anarchist.
Yes, and someone who's consistently libertarian would not be Ron Paul.
Well, I think Paul is mostly personally conservative. But if you watch like the Motorhome Diaries interview with him, when they ask him about personal secession, he says that he is in favor of it. So
Yeah.
I think it goes back to that argument that I know George Donnelly gets a lot of credit for, but a lot of other people have written articles, including myself, about, which is if you ask most minarchists or even most capital L libertarians or whatnot,
Yes.
whether or not in their perfect society they would endorse their defense, their government, their defense agency to use violence to force me to pay taxes for their defense, which is generally the biggest issue.
Yeah.
They say no. I'd say like 8 out of 10 times.
That sounds like an against me argument, like a Molyneux type of thing.
It is,
Yeah.
but I find that it does really work on a lot of minarchists.
It does.
And it's just, I think, this cognitive dissonance where, they're just
I'm not
uncomfortable.
going to correct that.
What's that?
It's nothing. Someone from my personal chat room here who's
Whoa, ho! You get your personal
There's an
chat room?
exclusive chat room.
Holy crap!
Tennyson's like I don't know. He's like
It's-
the man to know.
It's only for people with an IQ above 138. Tennyson administers tests.
You're
I mean,
137.
so you're like
You can get the hell
you're
outta
you're in
here.
the double chat room right here, Ryan. No one knows how brilliant Ryan is. He doesn't show it on the air. It pisses me off sometimes.
It's all just a big disguise.
Yeah, so-
I act like an idiot just to hide my true knowledge.
Yes. So this is what he's saying. He says Rand is sort of a simp, like a libertarian sympathizer. Ron is a constitutionalist, really. And he says, anyway, we shouldn't be trying so hard to say why people aren't our friends. And I agree. I mean, that's
Agreed.
good. We
I agree too.
peace among all of us, people who even maybe leaning towards that way, is better than being antagonistic towards.
We were
that.
there.
As someone
at
who
one
wants to
point.
deploy missiles against people crossing a border, I'm okay calling that person not my friend.
I'm fine with that as well.
Yeah,
but I think that we can work with him on the places we can work with him and defeat him in the places where we must defeat him.
Yeah, you got to work with people you disagree with, but
As we do every
there's-
single
you
day.
have to make a decision.
There
on
was a
each
time
basis.
when all of us were less principled.
Absolutely.
And everyone has different rates.
We
in
didn't
which
run
they
for
go.
office.
And we didn't run for office and have to compromise to try to get anywhere.
We weren't going to be able to be in a position to get any power to actually do any of these things. So I mean, it's a little easier to be easy on us who, weren't in where he's going to be, and he might actually end up in some position where he has the keys to the castle or something. I don't know.
So, with the red and black thing, I wrote Center for Stateless Society commentary, which you can check out at c4ss.org. It's called What's in a Uniform? And what I really did was just look at this from the angle of some of the less murderous sentiment against red and black. That is, you're discriminating against someone because of the color of their uniform, which is actually something that the police
That's what the
officer
policeman said.
involved compared it to segregation.
That kind of pissed me off.
Which, why did that piss you off?
It's a trivialization of the actual oppression that people like him, not only in terms of race, but I mean in terms of his color of his uniform, performed on people who were actually discriminated against by the color of their skin for, say, centuries. And saying he's like, just, oh my gosh, the color of my uniform.
I'm so oppressed here, man.
That's like I just.
Oh, I'm a human being who's humiliated.
And of course, I go back to think, because I think of pop culture all the time, Family Guy, where Peter goes down to South America and he says, finally, a rich white man gets to be in charge.
So yeah, and it's like I mentioned in the article. Like, segregation was enforced by people in police uniforms. It wasn't just a cultural thing; it was a government policy.
You also choose to be a cop.
Exactly
yeah,
right.
that's the thing. You choose to be a cop, and choosing to be a cop means choosing to enforce the laws, which are very often against consensual behavior, and cops very often cover for the worst behavior of their peers. So check it out. What's in a Uniform at Center for a Stateless Society, C4SS.org, and pitch in for the fundraiser.
Yeah, it's right here in
yes.
front of me here. I wanted to read the first paragraph, but I'm not going to read the first
Go
paragraph.
for it.
Okay, let's read. He writes, the Red and Black Cafe in his business in Portland, Oregon, became the subject of controversy after a cafe worker told a uniformed police officer to leave the building. The often overtly threatening response police supporters have revealed the self-serving absurdity of how government uniforms are viewed. So that's a little taste of, read the whole thing. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, read it. Read a lot of stuff at Center for Stateless Society
And sign up
pitch
for
in.
a monthly, contribution too.
Yeah, didn't you sign?
Bosco will tell you. It
You
makes
signed up
feel
for that,
I
right?
did. I
That's
did. It
right.
makes you feel good. You get that monthly email, and you're like, "Wow, I'm a good person, unlike the rest of your scum." And I just look around the room at all the other people, and I'm like, "You don't give to C4SS."
See?
I
It
do.
gives you
It's
an
like-
air of superiority, which you would not have had. So there you go.
There you go,
You
which
look
I
around,
obviously need.
You look around yourself, you're like, hey, you know why I'm cooler than all these people? One reason is I give to Center for a Stateless Society, and they don't.
Seriously though, it's like 1,000 times easier to budget when you know you're going to have a set monthly contribution.
What's that like? You're in the what are the brackets here? It's like 25, 15, 10 or something.
Yeah, I'm in the loser bracket. I'm in the 10. I'm not as good as some other people.
you
I'm
know,
sure
because
in this
some
room.
other people.
Yeah, yeah. But
$10 a month is enough.
$10 is a lot
sign
of
in.
money. I mean, how many readers and how many hits did you get from that
we
piece
got
that
a
you wrote
lot.
the other day?
A lot. It was on Stumble.
Yeah,
It went into a local newspaper.
yeah.
We've had quite a few appearances by Brad Spangler, so we're
Oh,
getting
yeah.
the message out there. We are actually starting to get some anarchist perspectives in front of non-anarchists.
Yes.
So you don't just have different people yelling at each other on blogs that the world doesn't give a shit about because
Yeah.
it doesn't affect them at all. You have some actual different opinions getting out there.
they've got a good media strategy too. Did you read the latest?
No, I haven't gotten
Tom
time to
Knapp
read
is
that yet.
on this.
It's
stuff.
good. It was
Yes.
amazing. I got an erection reading this thing. It was
Oh,
very
boy.
exciting.
It's like you were in a vibrating chair. I'm not going to say this. Yeah,
You always got to make it worse. It was bad enough when I said
I'm
it.
thinking of the Professor Brothers now because I keep making references to other things because
Okay.
that's kind of what I do.
All right, he
So-
doesn't only think about sex; he thinks about sex and cartoons.
and cartoons and,
And
sexual
singularities.
cartoons and the singularity.
Anyway.
Usually an Apple singularity. Like I don't think he's gonna get like the cyborg stuff unless it's made by Apple.
It's going to be made by somebody from Apple or related to Apple. I mean, Apple apparently had a hand in producing some. I'm not going to continue on this track here, but you know what was really good? Wall-E. You know that Eve machine there, because that was like clearly made by
Never
Apple.
saw it.
She represents the singularity or something.
Speaking of singularities, we've got about 10 minutes left in the program. Is it time for Bosco's special game?
I think so. I think we've said
This
enough
guy,
terrible stuff.
see, this is like this is part of his evil genius thing. Like he acts like an idiot, and then he comes in with these games.
Yeah.
And if we don't solve the game, something bad is going to happen
Exactly,
to us.
that's-
Kind of like Saul.
yeah, there you go.
Except it doesn't suck.
All right, so really quickly, because I explained it once already, here's how the game works. I've got a famous person written on this piece of paper to do with
Hitler.
That's your first guess. To
That
do
is
with
always-
liberty in general. So it's somebody you should definitely know. You may
It's
not agree
every
with him.
liberty. Well, he had to do with liberty. He
May-
destroyed it
maybe.
for millions of people.
They might not be an anarchist, but it's somebody that you should definitely know. Looking
All
at
right,
the people in this room,
somebody who had a positive contribution to liberty.
I'd say positive, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm going to go through, I've got 10 different facts about this person, starting with the really vague one. After each fact, right, we will have the people guess and see if they can figure out who it is in under 10. If
Is
you
this
can't-
open to people on the chat and open to people
I don't know
everywhere?
what the delay's like on the chat.
That's true, that's
what I'm
true.
worried about. It's just slowing down the
All right,
show.
well,
but
let's
we'll
throw
see.
it in then. Let's
I mean,
throw
you
it
can guess along with us, and you can see how you do.
All right.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Yes, sir.
So everybody understands?
You got it.
All right, here we go. Okay, here we go. first fact about this person. They believe that the government had a role to play in society.
That
Super
is
vague.
pretty vague.
So who you going with, Tennyson?
Ludwig von Mises.
Thomas Jefferson?
Nope.
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay.
Do we have to guess every round, or could just no?
You can pass.
All right, I'm going to forfeit for that one. So.
Okay, all right. You're
So
you're
he's still
you're
on a winning
rescinding
streak.
your Ludwig von Mises answer. All right, here we go. Okay. Second thing about this person. They were an economist.
Huh. Well, Frederick Bastiat.
No.
Hayek.
What if we get it on the second one? Would that be...
Thomas Hodgkin?
Nope.
I said Hayek.
You got it right. I hate you. I hate you so
I
much.
told you. What if we get it on the second one?
I
It's
know
going to
you,
kill us.
you guys are too smart. I'm gonna have to start picking really vague.
Is
trying
this
to
the
think.
only person you did?
This is the only person I did. I have 10 facts about
No,
this person.
someone from my private chat room wrote Molinari, who is obviously an anarchist, which is kind of unusual. So I don't know how big the delay actually
Private
is.
chat
Well, so
For
so-
only the most exclusive clients.
So I know Ryan isn't much of a economist, so I was thinking like which ones are like he either went really esoteric or someone that I probably have read. So
Oh,
I'm like,
dude.
okay, well,
Who
wasn't
haven't you
Mises-
read? Really? Come
I
on.
picked the economist. You guys want to hear the rest of the hints?
Yes,
while we got them.
please. Yes.
All right, so here we go.
3.
He was criticized by Walter Block, which basically limits you to no one. I think
That's
everybody's
true.
been criticized by Walter Block.
Yeah.
All right. Specifically, he believed the government should regulate wage hours and the monetary system.
Okay.
And he also said something about like the flow of information or something like that, which I thought was kind of strange.
He also wants to provide a welfare system, a lower limit welfare system. For
there
people.
you go.
Yeah.
He received the U.S. Presidential Medal of Freedom from
Well, of
George
course.
Herbert Walker Bush.
Makes
which-
sense.
In like 1992 or something like that. All right. Let's see. He
See,
called
if I got
the.
an award, I've decided this already. If
Yeah.
I get an award that sucks, I'm going to take the money. I'm going to take the
You're gonna
award
take
and
the
sell it
money.
on eBay, and then I'm gonna reject it.
Yes, he's going to
I'll
take
ta-
the
I'll-
money.
I'll take the
and
money
move
first.
to Brooklyn.
You know, I'm not. Yeah, you know, I'm not gonna turn down money here.
Exactly.
But
you're,
you know,
you're an
I'm-
intelligent human
I'm
being.
gonna-
Why would
I'm
you
gonna
turn
re-
down money?
I'm gonna reject the thing that the money was given to me for.
Exactly. I agree with that. That's exactly what I do. I would take the money back to Brooklyn, and then I would.
You know, I don't know what the street value is of a Presidential Medal of Freedom, but it's got to be pretty high.
Oh, Narco Tom.
Did
writes
somebody
in
join
here.
the chat room with the name Bosco Must Die?
I don't even
love
know
your
who
name, by the
Bosco
way.
is. I don't know.
There's speaking of
Probably
which,
bio.
there's a we had a great name. A guy named Van Darko Botanist came on Skype. I thought that was a fantastic nickname, by the way. All right, so other hints about this guy.
Yeah,
Let's
keep
see. He called the free price system a spontaneous order or that which is the result of human action but not of human design.
Okay.
He won
That's a
the
quote from
Nobel
someone
Memorial Prize in economics.
Okay.
He wrote a very famous book. He's an Australian. Oh wait, Austrian. He wrote The Road to Serfdom. If you didn't get it after that, I was just I was going to be done with you guys.
The last clue was his name was Hayek.
Yeah,
And
no,
then
that's
it's like, who is it?
The Road to Serfdom was the last clue. I actually went to an End the Fed rally once,
Yeah.
and this guy had these like professionally made up signs that
Yeah.
just said "Read the Road to Serfdom." And it had like a picture of the book. And it had a
Nice.
picture of Hayek. I was like, "You spent a lot of money on these fancy signs. You must really like this book."
It's a good book.
Who was it?
I don't know, but you might know him considering you know everybody.
I know a couple of people.
He
so
wasn't.
Was
he
it New
wasn't-
York?
It was New York. It wasn't
All right.
any of the MLP guys. It was a
All right.
younger guy. He might have been at that ANCAP meeting.
Maybe. I mean, I'm thinking. There's at least 3 people that I'm thinking of right now who
He
probably
had
could have been
a before an accent. I couldn't pin it down for you.
Okay, yeah.
Taller, dark hair.
Wow, this is a new
Yeah.
guessing.
it. So we're gonna play 20 questions to figure out who it is.
It was
No,
not
it's
Anthony
not Anthony
Gregory.
Gregory. We're gonna play that Anthony Gregory song eventually.
There was one time I saw these signs to vote for some politician, and I wrote on them things like "Read Benjamin Tucker," instead of voting.
That
for
is
I,
so
I actually
you.
just made a new stencil on libertyactivism.info,
Uh-huh.
and it just has a
On
picture of Benjamin.
libertyactivism.info?
You got it. Has a picture of Benjamin Tucker, and it says Google Benjamin Tucker. And I was like, that could be exciting.
That's like Google Ron Paul.
I
but
know.
it's
I've
Benjamin
seen
Tucker.
enough Google Ron Paul stuff that I
Yeah.
figure we need a Google Benjamin Tucker stencil.
Yeah.
Is that his new first name? Google?
Google.
Google
Oh,
Ricketson
what's his,
Tucker?
what's his middle
Google
name? I
Ricketson.
looked that up not too long ago.
Yeah. What's his name? My friend Tom. He's got his other radio show. I forget, but he founded the Ricketson Institute. So he's actually started a Benjamin Tucker Institute. It's going to be kind of like the Mises Institute or the Molinari Institute, but it's the Ricketson Institute.
Are they
focusing-
renting the space?
They might be.
Okay.
Yeah, they who knows what exactly they're going to do. They may have evolved a little bit beyond pure Ricketsonism, but
So do we have to find a prominent person from the past and just emulate everything they did and said and not try to improve upon or
yes,
apply their thought
geez,
to
you
modern
know the answer is
circumstances?
yes already.
Yes. God, don't you know the answer to that question?
I had this post on my blog. This is what dogma is. All right, so someone gives you an amazing machine. With this machine, you can build all kinds of awesome stuff. You can, build things that really help people's lives. And instead of
it's a
using
nanotech
this
assembler.
machine, instead of using this machine to build more awesome machines like it or taking it apart and improving on the design,
Self-replicating nanomachines.
you just put the machine on a pedestal and worship it. That's
Hey.
what dogma is. You're not using someone's thought. You're looking at it. You're being a spectator.
Exactly.
That sounds kind of like you're questioning the gospel according to Benji Tucker. And there's punishment for
What do
that
they
in
do
this
to
house.
heretics now? Heretics get spanked with moon rocks.
Well, that's all kinds of disturbing. That's
I'm not really sure how to respond to that.
Everybody has seen Aqua Teen Hunger Force. At least people who listen to this show and who perform for this show. Are we performers for this show?
Oh wow,
We
look
are
at-
producers.
All right,
of
hold
this
on.
show.
Something I wanted to put in here. I want to have a word here.
There's all kinds of exciting stuff going on in the chat room.
I don't know.
Apparently, I hate.
She's not
tulips,
saying anything.
and or somebody hates tulips.
You don't hate tulips.
I don't know. It doesn't really look like very productive
They're
conversation.
talking about
unlike-
the tulip bubble.
Oh, the Dutch thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, those guys
Oh.
are bad.
I don't know.
Yeah, they
I'm only
can't
half
see
paying
me shrug
attention.
my shoulders on the radio.
We got all kinds of
Hold
Aqua
on,
Teen what?
get a word here.
Oh, what's up, everybody?
See, that was Lore from Armor for Activists. What's that website?
It's armorforactivists.com.
That's very good. Armorforactivists.com.
Put the mic up on my face.
Turning away from the mic. Don't turn away from
You
it.
can't turn away from the mic.
It's armorforactivists.com.
You did it again. Don't look at the TV.
I'm interested in what's going on in the chat room.
Right, all right.
And this is what it becomes.
Yes. See, the
Tips
room,
on how to use a microphone.
The room is filled with guests here. I would like to say that Lore is a very accomplished cook, and I thank her for cooking.
Oh, we
the
had
food
some
we had some
kick butt
excellent
food.
food. Oh my gosh!
I ate better than I think. Like normally this time of the week, I would have spaghetti and canned spaghetti sauce. That's what I would usually have.
What's wrong with that?
You could get canned spaghetti and regular spaghetti sauce.
I like that. You know what? I've stopped using canned spaghetti sauce. I've moved up to sauce that comes in jars.
The jar.
That
one?
stuff is awesome.
The
it
jars
say
are a little
ragu?
expensive.
It says ragu at the top.
No, it's
Prego?
like the one I get is like Francisco Rinaldi or something like that. I don't know. They're like $1, but they're awesome.
Okay. All right.
So
do you want to comment?
No.
She's
So,
not.
No, you don't.
We're not even going to say who that is because she doesn't have a website.
okay.
She doesn't count.
So
I'll tell you what. Those of you who are still listening to us rant about spaghetti sauce, leave a comment in the comment section for this week's podcast as to whether you would rather have questions from a non-anarchist again or my stupid game that Bile killed because he hates me again for the next show, and I'll do one of those things for the next show.
All right.
you have to use the exact words.
And just comment in general. We want more
we want
listeners. We want
feedback.
more interaction. Tell anyone who you think and people who you don't think would be interested. Tell them about the show. We're just starting, so we've got a small listenership. We want it to grow.
And thank you, listeners.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you,
And by the
listeners.
way, I will slowly be putting up on the new website the old podcasts. I have to cut them and recut them and put them up, and
Yeah,
You can hear before they got that asshole Bosco.
exactly.
the good times, the good times.
For the good time.
For the
don't even
show
know
got
who this
dumber.
guy is. He just shows up and
I know. He just showed up in a green shirt one day and then just said booga 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 booga, and then got on the air.
He thinks he brings a couple mics in, and he
I
just
know.
can run the show.
No, we're glad to have Bosco.
Yes, Bosco.
This is a great production because of all the members
I
who
know.
are here.
Because Bosco's
And-
actually funny.
Everyone's a winner when you play as a team.
All right, come on. It's over. It's over. It's
So,
10 o'clock. Show's
It's
over.
10 o'clock. Thank you for listening. Remember our promotion contest. Promote Thinking Liberty. Think exposure, creativity, and chutzpah.
Stencil
And-
a cop.
All right. And this chat room is insane. So let's take it out for tonight. Remember to go out there, be free, build liberty in your own life, and try to expand your horizons.
Spank with moon rocks.
Tennyson's gonna flail.
He has to get that audio.
Rising to the challenge is the first step that you take. Are you a free spirit or a slave? Are the institutions that have molded our minds pushing an agenda filled with lies? Have you ever asked yourself why things never change? The rhetoric they speak is all the same. The men behind the curtain and the illusion they create pull the puppet strings and seal our fate. What's your step around me? Trying to live free. Push too far, we will strike. Like a snake coiled up in the night. What's your step around me? Trying to live free. Push too
illegal or unconstitutional. Understand right now what you guys are doing here today will play effect throughout history. We are tired of these private Federal Reserve bankers who are running this country and destroying this country from the inside. The tyranny that they commit against you and your family as well. You understand here as Americans because we know our founding fathers died for this very right.
I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly. I order all those assembled to immediately disperse. You must leave the immediate vicinity. If you remain in this immediate vicinity, you will be in violation of the Pennsylvania Crimes Code, no matter what your purpose is. You must leave. If you do not disperse, you may be arrested and or subject to other police action. Other police action may include actual physical removal, the use of riot control agents and or less lethal munitions, which could cause risk of injury to those who remain.